Should I cut my hair?
Why? Just headed into, yes, but headed into the summer, what can you do with it? This is what you can do with it. On top and out of the way in the heat. That's why we can't leave the live stream live.
Okay, so we're on, are we on YouTube?
We're on YouTube and we're here, but we're not starting, it's not 7:30 yet, maybe we should wait a few extra minutes anyway.
So we are not having a meeting in July,
No,
in June,
in June.
no meeting.
And then in July, if the governing board ends up on the 11th, we can see if we can have a different night for our meeting or not have it. That'll depend on your schedule too. I mean, I don't like canceling twice in a row, but sometimes you just have to. You know, technically, we only have to meet quarterly, although that doesn't keep the
Momentum.
exactly.
Oh. Is it gonna be at Christie's house?
Yeah, in the backyard. Definitely not cooperating. Yeah, I'm just checking my email to see if anyone has. Nope. So what do you want to do, wait till 7:35? To see if anyone else is here?
Well, will we see at this point always if somebody joins us?
Correct. Okay. Certainly will, but it's up to you.
Let's wait.
Okay.
So that means we don't talk about things, right?
Correct.
Substantive things. Okay. I was thinking about. It's the strangest thing. I used to be available during the daytime. But I'm just not.
And now you're not.
Yeah.
And your schedule's not flexible.
Exactly. Completely unflexible. And then two, I get hopeful for the school. Like I was swimming at USC just recently, yesterday. And they have a program for kids, for school kids. And I was like, how can I get my kids up here?
How far are you from?
It's a long way. It's 87th.
Oh, that's a lot.
So
So at 87th, isn't there that beautiful park? It's a county park. It's at El Segundo, so that's going to be closer. That's probably 108.
Right.
But it's just gorgeous, and San Pedro, more or less there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a lake. I mean, it's a.
Yeah, but does it have swimming? Does it have a swimming pool?
I think it must have everything. I'm trying to remember the name of the park. It's a county park. It's in Willowbrook.
Okay.
I mean, you could probably say county park. Oh, and it's named for Magic Johnson. It's Magic Johnson,
Oh.
if you look it up.
Okay. I'm glad you found it. There it is, East El Segundo Boulevard, East El Segundo. Oh, I
Right,
see
at
it, I
San
see it.
Pedro, yeah.
Recreation Center. Oh my goodness.
It's gorgeous. Should take a little jaunt there and see what they have, but they must have swimming.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's 5 miles away. That's all. That's not very far.
Mm-hmm.
5 miles away. Oh. Oh. Right. Great.
And it's well funded.
Nice. My goodness, it's
And
wild.
Christy's here.
Christy!
Well, she's not quite here in the room
I
now.
did say she was joining. Yeah, it's absolutely nature filled. I'm not seeing a swimming pool.
Okay.
So just saying. Kids playground, pavilion playground.
Hi, Christy. We haven't quite started.
Yes, that's fine. I have to get organized here. Unraveled.
Do the earbuds help? Do these help?
Yes, it helps because it's not about hearing what's going on. It's about you hearing me because it is very directional, my mic, and if I turn away to look at something, people can't hear me.
I think that's what happens to me on my computer because I'm constantly, I'll log in and someone will call me and say, "Can you hear me?" They'll say yes, and then I'm talking and they say, "We can't hear you." It's like,
Yeah.
ugh.
Well, if you turn away from where the mic is picking it up, it's not very sensitive, I guess, or it's too sensitive. I don't know, it's too directional anyway. So if I turn to read something, everybody would be saying to me, I can't hear you. If I look down, they can't hear me.
So
So that helps. Yes, this takes care of it because
and is it connected to the computer?
Yeah, it's just plugged into the mic jack, which is probably on the side of your laptop. I'm sure it's on the side of your laptop.
Well, this is not my laptop, but yeah.
Oh, well, but whatever laptop it is,
Right.
it has a mic jack and you just plug it in.
Did not know that. Okay, so it's now, Elizabeth, 7:36.
All right, 7:36, and we have a member, so we'll start our meeting. How about that?
Right, I'm gonna share the screen for the.
All right, so, I'm Elizabeth Fenner. We are getting recorded onto YouTube. This is the Environmental Committee meeting, United Neighborhood Council, and I call it to order.
And now I'm gonna share the screen
Okay,
with the agenda.
Laura's gonna share the screen and introduce herself.
Okay. Well, yes, I'm Laura Myers, and apparently there I go. I am a member and Zoom host of this UNNC Environmental Committee, and I live in Angeles Vista. And we have Christy, who will also introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Christy Webb. I live on West Adams Avenues.
So here's the agenda posted.
All right.
Do you want to go through it?
Sure. So our welcome and call to order review. We're right now reviewing this. General public comments are next, 1 to 2 meetings, rant or announce or have an idea or just free talk. 1 to 2 minutes. Earth Month recap. We're going green all year long. Round robin discussion reviewing our participation in Earth Day and Earth Month activities and how we move on towards that. Then number 4 is the 2024 heat relief campaign from the city of Los Angeles regarding the climate emergency and issues like that. And then an announcement of the beautification, is that right?
Mm-hmm. It's a beautification
conference, May 21st, which it will be difficult to go because it is midweek, midday. And then that's it. That's all we have.
Right.
We'll have to talk about our calendar because I will not be in town next month. And then the following month is the 4th of July.
Which kind of messes up everybody's calendar.
But so now we might talk about, at the end of the meeting, we might talk about what to do for the entire summer.
Right. So, okay, so.
All right, so any public comment? Anything about just your participation?
Well, no, only, it's really number 3, so I'm gonna hold my thought.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So let's move on, right? Yeah, Christy, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I assume you're going to talk about the Earth Day
Yeah.
events and what happened, because I wasn't here, I was away on
Yeah, let's launch
vacation.
into that.
Right, so, yeah, because none of us three have any general public comments. So I'm gonna stop the share, but we're moving on, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken,
I'm
to
not
our Earth Month recap.
I'm looking for the Maya Angelou quote, undefeated. And it's a big thing at my school, at the school. That you may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. And just to say, I participated in some Earth Day events and an Earth Day project with my organization, which was to simply try to have brief, connecting climate conversations with as many people as possible. And the organization as a whole had over 27,000 climate conversations with people and stuff. But I am feeling a little defeated by the subject, and so my energy has gone down. I see the need for changes everywhere and all the time, but it's so little, and it is so very late, that I'll reiterate that I do believe that we need to ask our elected officials, and at the highest levels, at Senator and Congress levels, to consider a carbon tax. That way, everyone is passively helping reduce carbon through a tax which makes carbon-heavy items more expensive, and then therefore boosts all the low carbon intensity activities and items that we buy or do. And therefore, it can't be just the few people who feel virtuous or feel terrified. So they restrict their actions and they restrict their purchases. So a carbon tax is the answer. That's why I'm going to DC in June.
Okay, so how was your Earth Month though? What did you do? I mean, I know one thing that Elizabeth and I did together, which was we participated along with other UNNC board members actually, and another committee chair, was the Rediscover Center's Earth Day Sustainability Arts Festival. And Elizabeth's idea, well, so remember a year ago at our own Earth Day, we were giving away little seed packets. So this year, because we were at an arts festival where the host entity was doing hands-on activities, Elizabeth's idea was that we would have the kids draw on the seed packets. And then after they put their butterfly or their bee or their flower or their trees or whatever they drew, then we would fill the seed packet for them. And it was really actually quite successful.
Nice.
It was. I mean, well, you're saying nice, it was your idea.
Yeah.
It was really very, it worked out really nicely.
I think that sounds neat, yeah.
Right,
Sorry I missed it.
yeah, so inspired by that, West Adams Heritage had a booth last Saturday on a play street. And what a play street is almost, but not exactly, it's not really a mini cyclovia because it's one block that's closed to traffic. And this one was sponsored by the Velaslavia Panorama on 24th Street between Hoover and Magnolia. So it was just the one block. So the Panorama was there, 24th Street Theater's right across the street. And it was co-sponsored by, so again, Streets LA and the Panorama and Council District 1 and Council District 8, because Hoover is the boundary between the two council districts. And West Adams Heritage was asked to participate, but also there were just a lot of other entities. Crop Swap, who really should get out to speak here, because their program is really quite different than when it started. They're no longer going to farmers markets and swapping veg, giving away vegetables. They're actually creating intensive vegetable gardens.
Say the name again, Laura?
Crop swap,
Crop swap. Mm.
right. But, so, I mean, it's, they've evolved as an organization, but they were interesting to begin with. And now they're more interesting. That's the same entity that the Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance partnered with on turning the lawns, one or two lawns in Leimert Park into vegetable gardens.
Nice.
Anyway, so there was a bunch of different things, but we West Science Heritage were inspired by Elizabeth's idea, and so we also bought more seed packets, California poppy seeds, but also coloring pages. Well, we got old houses on coloring pages.
Oh.
So it turns out people do like to color.
Yeah.
But they were more interested in the coloring pages than the seed packets. So,
Okay.
but coloring as an idea
Yeah.
is a great idea, and it probably was a great idea when we were all kids. And it'll probably be a great idea 30 years from now again. So, so that's one thing. And then you also went with your climate group to
Right.
Ciclavia, right?
Yeah, so I stopped traffic at Ciclavia at Venice and Lincoln Boulevard. And I thought I was gonna be talking about our organization's Citizens Climate Lobby, but it turns out, and I had my CCL t-shirt on and I was ready to talk to people, and they made us wear the bright yellow Ciclavia t-shirt and actually stop traffic and stop traffic. And actually very, very few people were interested in stopping to talk about climate because they were having a good time. They were just biking up and down with their family and their friends, and I appreciate that. So I that kind of thing gives me a lot of energy. So I was out there and I'd say, stop, climate change, and get a laugh. So it was what it was. That's what I did for
Right. Well, it's interesting because all of these events, and then UNNC is having a resources fair on the morning of June 1st, so not the late afternoon, but we're doing a community resource fair at the Leslie Shaw Park, Jefferson, next to the library.
Great.
When
was that?
Saturday, June 1st.
Oh, great.
And so we're the actual sponsor, plus we will have a booth. But I think the challenge is how do you get people to come? I mean, not just how do you get people to man your booth or person your booth, but how do you get people to attend? And what exactly is the right thing to have at the booth? So I haven't even asked Dolores, Spears and Teresa, what are we having at the UNNC booth? Because I think at the moment they're more focused on making sure these other, Streets LA, or I'm pretty sure Teresa's working on urban forestry. What city and county entities are going to be there?
Can I man a CCL booth?
I doubt it because it's not a government agency. But but can we have an environmental committee handout or two or three? Just like, so we have our own kind of unique handouts, as you know, Christy. Not just something about the committee itself, but we have one on native plants and one on use less plastic and one on how to compost, not how to compost, but how to use the green, what
You can put in the green bin.
what you can put in the green bins. I have that in English and Spanish. And those are handouts we've created that only go out when we go out. So, but I don't know if, if we can do that. So anyway, those are the year-round things. Yeah, and good luck. Use less plastic. I'm not having any luck with that. Only because I'm, at the same time, being told by my health providers, drink more water. And the easiest way to drink more water is plastic bottles of water, which I do refill, but I still am using plastic bottles.
Don't do that.
Don't do that, it's
Just
not
get
healthy.
Just get a metal one.
I hate the metal taste. Anyway, but I'm trying to use less plastic otherwise, or at least use the plastic.
They've added one. You know how they said reduce, reuse, recycle? Now they're saying refuse. So-
Reduce, reuse,
Now,
recycle.
start with refuse. Refuse to take plastic. So refuse the silverware or the utensils.
I do refuse those.
Yeah, refuse the extra bag if you don't need it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah,
you know, and so what I'm doing, maybe not the perfect solution, I don't necessarily refuse the plastic bag at the grocery store, but I'm not buying trash bags.
okay.
I'm using these
Over
as my
again. You're
well,
reusing.
as my trash bags.
Yes, yeah.
But then I'm single, it's easy enough for a
Yeah.
single person to do that, it's not easy enough if you're in a household and you're filling big trash cans. You know, so what else? Am I composting? No, but am I using my green trash can for leftover food? Yes, I am. Are you?
Does everyone agree? Yes, of course, I do all that and more. I'm taking the bus to work now 2 or 3 times a
Oh.
week. And not just one, and I biked to downtown, no, did I bike? I took 2 buses downtown to a meeting. But what was I gonna say? You know it's not working, and you know we're only, 0.5% of the population who's doing this kind of thing.
Well, we're 0.5 or 0.05.
Yeah, or 0.05, exactly.
Correct.
So we really need everyone to passively opt in to the whole system by adopting a carbon tax.
Well, I don't think that's the only thing we should be doing.
Well, so the thing that
I mean, in other words, composting one's leftover foods doesn't really relate so much to a carbon tax, whereas the plastics thing does. If there's less plastic.
yeah, you're right, both.
Who pays the carbon tax, Elizabeth? How does it work?
It actually, a carbon tax hits the oil wells, the coal mines, the
Well,
fracking wells.
how does it do that?
That's where the tax goes in. It doesn't go to your grocery store. It goes to the highest level. So anybody then who buys the natural gas from that place will buy it at a higher cost because it's taxed at that point. And then so the coal mine, the coal will be taxed. And the oil,
It increases the prices of gas and oil and.
Gas,
if they
right, fuel.
Yeah, so everything, but you don't get, it's not like the California gas tax where you have a gas tax added to your purchase of gas. It's not that. It's that all the products that have to go through that stream of stuff. So the stream that starts with oil, gas, or coal, that basic commodity will now be more expensive. So your gas might be 20 cents more a gallon.
That's not, so ultimately it is us,
but
that's not necessarily a
if you-
terrible thing, it's
Yeah, no,
just-
right, we all have to shoulder that, and then the thing is, if you add a dividend to it, which is possible, they've shown that it's possible because they gave us money during COVID. If they decide not to, and this is the way the Republicans sign on to this, because we're not adding programs, we're not adding a big bloated department in the government. It's a small department that takes the tax and divvies it out evenly to everybody. And therefore, everybody would get an amount that would cover, would essentially cover that increased cost.
It offsets it.
It offsets it. So you don't have to use it if you can buy different products than the high cost gas, oil, plastics, and all that.
Mhm.
That means that more people, presumably then wooden utensils would cost less if they didn't come from China. Because of course we would add that to, products that come from overseas with a high thing. And it's the wave of the future, and even the Wall Street Journal says it's a good idea. I mean, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Well, I think the concern, when we're here in South LA with people who don't necessarily earn anywhere close to even the area median, which is so
We
high.
have to stop that argument, because that is another reason for China to do nothing
Mhm.
about climate change, because they could say that all of their people are at risk of poverty. And you could say that about India, and
Well,
China and India are the greatest emitters now.
Right. Well, India's the worst. Yeah, I mean, it's just
We need a World War II mentality here, which everybody's, you know.
Victory Garden.
Yeah,
Victory
Victory
Garden.
Garden, everybody pitches in and loose lips sink ships. And I'm there in South LA and seeing, you know, leaving and cars are out parked now in on the street waiting for their kids, and they're just running, they're just idling. So they're running their air conditioner in their car, and it's not even 80 out yet.
Right.
So there's just a forgetfulness of it. There's just no concept of like, we're all in this together and we all need to. And I know we could surpass all kinds of records. We could do amazing things.
I mean, let's just add, when I was a kid, we all walked to school. There was no car sitting waiting for us idling.
Yeah.
We just walked to school. And that included junior high, and to some extent high school. That was 2 miles from my house. You know, we at least walk home from school.
Right. And now we have scooters,
Yeah.
we have bikes, we have walking, we have roller skates. And I can believe that there was a time when safety was the major concern. So kids, especially in South LA, had to make sure that they got to school safe. And we still have some of those safety measures in place, you know, there's teachers all over that exit gate, making sure that every kid gets walked off the campus with somebody. They don't release them.
I'm sure that those cars, I mean, that's just a small example I know that you're giving, but I'm sure that those cars, parents don't even think about it as contributing to
Right.
climate change, you know, running. So, I mean, maybe there should be everywhere, there's a big sign, don't leave your car on, don't sit with your air conditioner on, don't, you know, I mean, there has to be reminders everywhere because people don't think about it.
Well, I have to say,
or don't get it to begin with.
at around 6:30 every morning, my next door neighbor turns on his car for a while before leaving, and I breathe it. It's like, oh my God.
And then that's actually against the law.
It's not cold.
I know.
It's
Well,
like,
well, modern cars don't need to warm up anyway. I mean,
Right.
A, it's not cold, and B,
Yeah.
it's been decades since cars needed to be warmed up.
And it's on the books, like many other things, it's on the books to not idle, that it's illegal to idle for more than 2 minutes. But it's one of those things that's impossible to enforce.
Well, this is in his backyard, he's not on the street anyway. I mean,
But
I
it
sleep
might
in the
still.
bedroom toward the back of my house with the window open.
Yeah.
That's why I'm getting, you know.
Oh, that's just terrible.
yeah, I hate that.
So I'm
All right,
looking
so
for an
let's not be
avenue.
so
No.
negative.
I want to say that we're being asked to expend a fair amount of energy for the climate emergency to try to help make people more comfortable, or even to be able to survive a serious heat wave. And unless we are slowing the tap on the overflowing tub of carbon, then my motivation to help people stay cool when then they don't think they're part of the problem inherently. That sounds cruel, but that's how I feel. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
That's how you feel today.
I know I'm
Because
gonna get
you're
hot,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna wanna go out and save a bunch of people getting hot when we're all part of this and nobody's calling their legislators. Nobody's asking Sydney, Camelot, or Dove to sponsor or co-sponsor a carbon tax measure. I mean, IRA was the biggest, outlay of federal money in the history of the world towards climate friendly practices, but it's only done a portion of what it meant to do.
What's the IRA?
See, there you go.
Well, you're speaking in code.
Yes, the Inflation Reduction Act, which
Right.
was the great,
Right.
the biggest grant funding to
Mhm.
help people. Now, to help people put in, the newest technologies and da-da-da, but who takes advantage of it? Wealthy people
Right.
and wealthy corporations. So, ugh.
Yeah, all right.
What can we do as an organization to help reduce use, help reduce use?
Well, I think that's again the struggle. I mean, it's interesting because, you know, the UNNC has various committees. So right now, the Public Safety / Emergency Preparedness Committee is having these monthly sessions for disaster preparedness cert training. And not a lot of people are attending, but the last weeks, you know, anyway, this month's meeting was on two-way radio. So we actually walked out of there with sort of an action, not plan, but an action that could be taken, because we have a couple of iconically tall buildings. And if they each had a relay station on top, then all of our, you know, anyone who has not the basic family two-way radio, but the next level up,
Okay.
could actually communicate for miles.
Wow.
So it's sort of an action plan that's not really budgeted, but we walked away from that training session, again, this different committee, not climate change, with the idea that, one, we should approach the owners of those buildings, just see if they would use solar-powered relay stations. You know, so I don't know what the cost of installation, but they wouldn't be spending any money on
Right.
electricity, and then in an emergency, they'd still work,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And then maybe getting 1/6, so one for each of our UNNC regions, these, you know, $100 two-way radios, but it's the next level up, the ones that have a range that can hook into the relay stations. And so it's an action plan. So I don't know, what can this committee develop as its action plan for climate change? I mean, what one thing? I mean, we've done one thing. We have done one thing, which is pay for the composting workshops. You know,
I see about back to those people sitting in cars who don't even think about it. So my belief is that education really is the key. And if you don't get to people where they are, if they're not coming out to the meeting, then you have to get to people where they are. And, you know, there's the old-fashioned way is a flyer, you know.
Right.
And just list 10 things. These are the things you can do, and you must do to help with climate change. I don't know. And then,
Well, I will say,
you know,
where do cars idle here? I know the answer. They idle at the Debbie Allen Dance Academy while they're waiting for kids. They idle at, they're not supposed to, but at the STEM school at 3200 West Adams, because some of the parents are still sitting on 4th Avenue waiting for their kids. They absolutely are in a pickup line for Cliff School. So maybe it's not a matter of flyering those cars, but rather maybe starting a campaign with the school principals about trying to figure out a better way for pickup, you know, so that the cars are not idling as much.
Do we have the authority to?
Not on our own, we'd have to have the board,
Okay.
but we can propose it, not tonight. I mean, we need to agenda it for real, you know, as a more thought out thing. Or we can put it on an agenda and invite, you know, plan it well enough in advance to invite the principal of CLIC,
Right.
the principal of, you know, the various schools.
And that's one thing, and then the other, the leaf blowers is another, actually leaf blowers and those, and any yard equipment that's ICE, internal combustion engine.
Well, they're already
pollutes.
illegal.
I understand that, but they're also widely used.
And they're already illegal, so
They're already
I'm really not quite sure about.
But I guess what I'm saying is, if we don't have the authority to go to the city council.
We could.
We could.
But not just because we want to. I mean, again, we have to.
So all I'm asking, I think, would give me hope is to ask our neighborhood council to draft something to the city council that says, do something about idling around our children, at school sites.
Mm-hmm.
Do something about that. They have the resources, right, to put out PDAs, public PDAs, public service announcement, PSAs.
Yes.
Essays. Mhm.
PDAs, something different. And then.
But why
they
would you
have-
do a PSA rather than, I mean, again, if I focus on schools versus other things,
Uh-huh.
why wouldn't we do a direct outreach campaign to the schools?
I would imagine that it would be multi-pronged.
Mm-hmm.
That then therefore, because we're dealing with the city, they would do PSAs, they would do flyers to each cart, each parent. And there's a way to do that, in elementary schools, middle schools, and there's a real
Mhm.
argument there to say that these are children whose lungs are developing.
Mhm.
And I bet you could say something about how much pollution that a car creates by sitting and idling.
Right.
You could
Mhm.
have a little statistic thing, which is it does damage to the engine, it does damage to the direct environment of it, and it's probably, it's like within 100 feet of a school, it's within 50 feet of a school, they're right along that curve.
Right, right.
So and then I bet that Lisa Hart would take that out too.
Well, again, so what are the rules for a neighborhood council? Here's part of the answer. I am not sure. Okay, I am sure we can talk to school principals within our own footprint. We can talk to parents, PTAs, or whatever they call them these days. I mean, so for example, Prescott School does have a parents association. And I'm gonna bring that up under the next final item.
Okay.
But, we can talk to those people, we can talk to the principals, particularly of the charter schools, because we already have relationships with them, because they're already working from conditional use permits. So they're already coming to us every 10 years to renew their conditional use permits. So, and there's already rules on how they can operate. We are allowed to talk to our own council person and other elected city officials. I am not sure we can lobby LAUSD, for example. I'm using the word lobby kind of loosely, but I am not sure if a neighborhood council can or cannot. We definitely cannot weigh in on state initiatives unless the city of LA itself weighs in on a state initiative.
Okay.
And so sometimes what neighborhood councils do, this is broad now, is they lobby their own council person to have the city council weigh in on a piece of state legislation, so that neighborhood councils can weigh in on that council function. Because
Okay,
right,
right.
so
Show their
we're
interest.
doing a community impact statement. So we're kind of limited because the city attorney likes to tell neighborhood councils what to do. In terms of our own neighborhood council, delivering a full-blown idea works out much better than, hey, what do you think if we would have to. And it would also require that you and perhaps other committee members go to the board meeting, whatever night we might be taking something up. We want to do a campaign, we want to do a public service campaign that would involve this, and this. So we'd have to have a complete idea. We'd have to know if it needed any funding, even minimal funding.
Okay, and I get
And
your
we
point.
would do it on an agenda first.
I get your point, and just for the record, I have done this for years.
Yeah.
When my kids were in elementary school, I would talk to people about not idling, and I simply became the Wicked Witch.
Yeah, no,
You
I'm not,
know this.
I do know that,
Right.
no, it bugs the hell out of me because
Sure.
they're not just idling, they're blocking traffic, they're double parked.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's land use issues and
Yeah.
other issues involved, so it's,
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
there's just a methodology where neighborhood councils behave in a certain manner.
Yeah, I get
And follow certain procedures and protocols, but they're all doable.
So, in terms of public outreach, and then let's go back to that. So I think we've moved from 3 to Earth Month, right? Recap, going green all year long.
Yeah, we're still sort of doing the going green all year long, but we kind of moved, it is a
Slightly
round
into
robin,
four.
I did write the phrase, round
Round
robin
robin.
discussion.
Okay,
But,
but in terms of, in terms of public outreach,
Mhm.
I would just feel more served, that this issue is more well served. If part of a flyer
Mhm.
included, ask the city for more action on this, more
Yeah.
top-down action on this. Call this, email this,
Yeah,
or
a move
sign
to
it.
action.
A move to
Yeah,
action.
but that's what I'm saying, we would just need to develop a campaign.
Okay,
We would need to agendize it.
and I need to justify it to the
Well, when we get to the board, you would have to be the, you know, I mean, I can't, I've gotten some pushback from a certain person about always being the person bringing committee, since I'm not the chair. So since if the committee wants to engage in a focused campaign on any topic whatsoever, I think the chair would need to come. And I think committee members, I mean, I think, you know, when we do something with a planning committee, often a Steve Peckman or others would come to that meeting and chit chat. So it's just a way of saying, you know, showing that, hey, we got a plan.
Yeah.
We got an idea, we got a plan, this is how much money we want for it, if we want money.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's not an impossible task, I'm just saying, and we would start with making an actual agenda.
Okay.
And it would be maybe over more than 1 month, you know, develop campaign to
Yes.
address idling vehicles
Right.
at school sites.
Right.
Or, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
let me look again at this. Okay, so other year-round efforts to reduce plastics and, well, we are kind of doing our part on trying to get word out about reducing plastics and increasing composting. And we talk about that a lot. But I do think if we're gonna have a 1-hour meeting, we've gotta move on to these other 2 items. The SEMO and, a quick thing on number 5.
Okay.
So, unless you guys disagree.
No, that's good.
Okay, so, SEMO, which is the Climate Emergency Mobilization Office. And I don't know what they do on a day-to-day basis, to be honest, but they do a nice monthly newsletter. And they do they did do a nice conference. Teresa went, and I think somebody else from UNNC went. And then they do a heat relief for LA campaign. And last year, what we did with that was 1 or maybe 2 standalone e-blasts about the heat relief campaign. So the whole newsletter is sitting in the online agenda packet. I'm gonna see if I do this, if it will click us through to their website. Look at that. Okay, so Chrissy, can you see this? Oops.
You're on a website. I don't see that. I see the SEMO newsletter.
Yeah, it would be circled by green, I think.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the share. Look at this. Oh, look, see, that's where it is. Okay, hang on a sec. I can do it.
Yeah,
I can start the share over again.
it's good.
Maybe this will work.
Yeah, now it's green.
Okay. Okay, so try to get this out of my way. Okay, so what they basically do is they have a heat relief campaign with a lot of graphics.
Mm.
And they have posters, and they have in many languages.
These are available or they put them out?
Well,
Or
I
groups
think
can,
we can download them and print them.
oh, I see.
I mean, we could download them, pay for the printing, and ask local businesses, for example, to put them in their windows.
Yeah.
I see.
But it's gonna be too hot to walk door to door and do that, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, not my job, but it could be, I mean, we could, in other words, it is something we could discuss if only we were having a next meeting anytime soon. But what we can do is do the work, we have a new communications director, Hunter Reese. So we could ask him to do an Instagram campaign using these materials. I mean, that could be an action we, just move forward on. And then we do it in MailChimp and put it on the website and just kind of pitch it as UNNC's environmental committee is putting this word out, as opposed to just seeing. So, if that's what we want to do, because
How much web traffic do we get?
I don't know. I do know how much, I'm gonna stop the share. In terms of when I do a mail check, the e-blast, it usually 30 to 40%, which is, we have about 1,000 recipients, we have 30 to 40% opens.
Clicks. Okay.
Well, we have more than that clicks because some of them send it on to other people.
Oh, good.
Or come back and read it a second time or however, but we do have a 30% is the low, and sometimes 40%, depends on the topic.
Okay.
So,
That's great. And I was just also thinking too, well,
but anyway, I don't know about Facebook and we're just restarting Instagram, and I certainly don't know about our website,
okay.
but we have something. And then when we do it on our Facebook, we also share to other local Facebook pages. So Kenny Heights, Jefferson Park, we share. So it's not huge.
I was just thinking about, I just put that website down and I can share it with my community rep at school. And they have a thing, it's called Dojo, and it goes out to 600 parents.
See, that's good.
Yeah. So
is that true of every school?
Right, that's a.
So that's another thing, we could contact our local schools and say, can you share this?
Yeah.
But what I want to ask Hunter to do is to make a graphic that says it's us and not just SEMO, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Share the information, but brand it to us.
Yeah.
Brand it to us and them, I mean, but where UNNC is your messenger.
Yeah. All right, we got your back.
We got your back. We may not got your air conditioner, but we got your back. And I haven't read through and to see if maybe something's different this year about cool sites, the sites.
Right.
So anyway, so that's the SEMO thing. And then item 5 is the announcements, new business, old business discussion. So one announcement is the beautification conference on May 21, and Elizabeth already alluded to it being something we can't go to, neither she nor me.
Is that aesthetic in?
Why? What is it?
Because it's on what day is it?
Key topics, what does that say?
Tuesday, I see.
Yeah, it's on a Tuesday from 10 to 12:30. I mean,
So
it's not.
Who are they expecting to come there?
I know. It's been a while since I was a suburban housewife.
Yeah,
I could do
no, I understand. I don't know. I mean, during COVID, they did these conferences online. They were great. And they were in the middle of the week, as is this. So if this is the 6th annual, that means counting backwards, last year was 5th. So COVID had 4, 3, and 2, and they were pretty good. And the first was obviously in person.
And this is open to the public?
It's totally open to the public. It's there. You have you can see a live sustainable gardening workshop, shade tree giveaways.
It's a very odd time though, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And on the one hand, I have some flexibility that week, maybe, because I have jury duty, or else I don't. So I'm not booking a lot of stuff for that week because I
Because you'll
don't
call
know.
in the night before and know whether you're doing it.
Exactly, and either I'm going or I'm not. But from what I understand, it's the first conference was in person, just like this one is. And Dolores had gone to that and said it was really terrific. So, you know, it could be really terrific. It's just,
It sounds neat, but I
well,
mean,
maybe
there's a
you maybe have a
there's a
flexible schedule.
raffle. Well, maybe if not many people are there, I could win the raffle. And
Exactly.
the shade tree giveaway.
You get shade trees, yeah. You know, and anyway,
Weird.
so we wanted to share that. I'm stopping the share. And again, that flyer, I will email that out as a e-blast with a MailChimp, but it's also up in our thing. So the other thing I wanted to bring up is after you left the Rediscover Centers Festival, we had a visit from the gal who heads up the parents group at Prescott. And she came over to thank us because we had provided seed funding for their butterfly garden, which is now up and running.
Wow.
And she was showing us great photos. And then in addition, they now have a grant to create a mini forest on the campus.
Wow.
So I did ask her if she'd be willing to come here on Zoom or in person at some future meeting to talk to us about what that even is.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's a concentrated, dense forest in the middle of a school campus.
Nice.
And it's a thing that's being piloted around California. So, you know, but anyway, so again, UNNC funded the first project. She went straight to funding. She didn't come to a committee for that butterfly garden.
Okay.
But it'd be nice for her to share that information. We've asked her to share at the governing board as well, because that's a project that we funded.
Yes.
But
yes.
it doesn't mean
Success.
we couldn't invite her here to share what's going on.
She could come on Zoom.
Well, exactly.
Right.
So
Okay.
almost easier, because then I don't have to worry about trying to do the the presentation from this computer.
Yeah.
So that's one topic perhaps that we could do. So Elizabeth has a unusual, or perhaps it's a usual schedule for her. So which will lead to the cancellation of the June environmental committee meeting, because she will be
Wichita, Kansas.
well, she'll either be in Washington DC or Wichita,
or
Kansas.
somewhere in between.
But under the new rules for Zoom for neighborhood councils from the state legislation, the members of a board, or in this case, the chair of a committee, must be in the jurisdiction to be on Zoom. They're allowed to be on Zoom.
Okay.
Like you could be on Zoom in your house instead of sitting on Zoom here now.
Okay.
But it'd be hard because someone still has to run the hybrid from here.
And I like being in person.
Yeah, but you can't be in Kansas or Washington DC or on the road in Indiana or anything like that. So, and then we don't know, so June is canceled. July, we have a siren. The July meeting lands on obviously, like always, it's the second Thursday, the 11th. But what I don't know is if the governing board needs to meet that night, because the governing board meeting, its normal meeting night would be Thursday, July 4th. So that's not happening for obvious reasons.
Right.
And even though we probably could have the community room, could we get attendance? No. Can a city entity meet on the 4th of July? No. So we don't know, but we'll try and have an environmental committee meeting in July, maybe a different day.
Yeah.
Or maybe that day.
And the heat might have hit us by then, and this might be a completely different conversation.
But this space is air conditioned.
Yeah.
So we'll be okay.
So some of you who are on Zoom or YouTube watching in their unair conditioned homes, just know that you might be able to attend UNNC committee meetings in air conditioning this summer. So, okay. So are there any other announcements?
Thank you for your patience, hearing me talk about sort of the speed and scale issues that we are dealing with as a nation. I'm waiting for the leader to come and give us a sort of, the only fear is fear itself. My Ukrainian housemate now says, you know you're rich. And I'm like, okay. And he says, no, everybody here is rich. So the idea that actually Americans can do more to help the world and help themselves. And they will feel better when they do. They will feel more engaged. And when we're all, and when we see the needle move too, when we see things, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but it's much clearer now. You know, I get an air quality, message every morning, and time after time after time, it's the elementary school there on the corner of Adams and Arlington that they have the meter, and almost
that's the Prescott.
Oh, that's the Prescott. And that almost every day tells me that the air is excellent. It's in the good range.
And why do you think that is?
I think it's because of all the electric cars. Myself, I think it's the electric, all the Teslas, all the Ions.
That's interesting.
But down in LA down in South LA where my school is at 87th and Western, it's moderate. So it's in the yellow. I don't know why, because they're not near a freeway. It must be,
Right, but we get the breezes from the ocean here, and they would not, right?
And remember how our area was up in arms when we have the airplane superhighway right over our heads?
Yes.
Well, so those airplanes all go this way, right? As they turn, then back to LAX. So we get them on the thing, and they make a U, right? And we get the top part of the U, and we were like so upset that Karen Bass was, meeting with people. They turn, and they go right over my school.
Right.
Like right over my school, and they go lower because they're about to land. And so South LA, gets it in the chin again.
Right. I was gonna bring up one other thing, now that I'm thinking of it. So Richard Parks, you know him? He's a stakeholder to UNNC. His kids go to Prescott, actually.
Oh.
And he lives just east of Western. So he lives in the Charles Victor Hall tract.
Okay.
And he is, I don't know his title exactly, but the person in charge of Redeemer Baptist's advocacy arm. So he's not the pastor.
Yeah.
But he's with Redeemer Baptist Church. And in that guise, he did get, not alone, with the work of a lot of people, but the oil field is not just closed at Jefferson and Budlong. It was purchased by LANET, which is the Los Angeles Neighborhood Land Trust.
Okay.
So it was purchased by a land trust and will become a combination of park and housing.
Wow.
And he's getting an award that may have already gotten it. He's getting their annual award.
Wow.
So that's the second one. So the Washington and Third Avenue is under construction. So that used to be an oil field and it's becoming housing. And then Jefferson and Budlong is going to be park and housing. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a big wow. And in the meantime, coyotes have set up a den in the landscaped lower portion of the Murphy Field. So So it's naturalizing, but not
And
necessarily.
where's the Murphy Field? Is that the
Adams
one
and
on Adams,
Gramercy.
Adams and
Gramercy.
Gramercy?
But
Yeah,
this
that's
is the
Murphy.
below at 27th Street and St.
Ah.
Andrews below. And, it's a landscaped sort of park-like setting, but
Uh-huh.
apparently it's got a little too park-like. Yes. So there's a few coyotes in there
Oh,
somewhere.
my. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's what it is.
yeah. That's what everybody says who likes birds and not cats. And those of us who like the cats are like, oh, no.
Yeah.
It's just a little too natural for me. Anyway, okay, so those are all my announcements.
All right, I think we're good.
All
We're right
right.
on.
Right on time.
Okay, thank you.
You made our night, Christy.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye, Christy.
Bye. Good night.
Good night. Oh.